Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel called zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Bharat with your help, and I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And in today's video, we're going to look into one of your favorite YouTubers, and we've done a bit of a video on the Citizenship Act before, but there is apparently still a bit of a debate around, is this pro something and against maybe something. So I thought Major Arya might be just the guy to help us all understand. So before we get into today's video,
Please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
okay, let's get started on this one. I'm actually quite curious to see what have been the developments in India over this. And I'm very curious also to hear from you guys what you think about the whole thing and the whole situation, if you, let's say, are agreeing with a major or not. But let's explore that together. Let's start.
Not a day passes by in Pakistan when these women or these young girls are not kidnapped, raped, and converted. It is okay for a Rohingya Muslim to break the law. He's a victim of his circumstances, and India should somehow support him. The people who are being raped and forcibly converted, India should not help them. People are protesting against the CA not because of what it says. What they fear is the NRC, the National Register of Citizens. Jan friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. It was in 2019, ladies and gentlemen, that the Citizenship Amendment Bill was passed by the Parliament. The Citizenship Amendment Act, that is the CAA, is today a reality. After the announcement of Home Minister Amit Shah, it has become a reality. And let me tell you what this bill talks about essentially. It's very important to put the narrative straight and to put the facts on the table, simply because there are too many people muddying the water, including foreign media houses, who are openly calling it an anti-Muslim bill. The fact of the matter is that it has nothing to do with Muslims. You know, that is the beauty about it. Everybody is saying, Pakistani media, European media, American media, even Reuters, or let us say Al Jazeera, you know, the usual suspects, they're all saying this is an anti-Muslim bill. It's not actually. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Muslims, whether Indian, Afghan, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, African, Mongolian, it does not matter. What CAA says that, so here is a date. The date is 31st of December 2014. And it says that people belonging to the minority community in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, you see, again, I repeat, people belonging to the minority community in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan who came to India, who took refuge in India before 31st of December 2014, will be considered under the Citizenship Amendment Act. And who are these minorities, first of all? And what is this consideration? The minorities there are Hindus, they are Sikhs, they are Christians, they are Parsis, they are Buddhists, they are Jains. These are the minorities that are being considered. That's point number one. And point number two, you know, a lot of them saying that this is against Muslims, as I mentioned. This act does not mention Muslims. The fact of the matter is these minorities are badly persecuted in these three countries. These are Islamic countries, and two of them, Afghanistan and Pakistan, you know, there are elements in that society that seek to kill and destroy all minorities, convert their women, rape their women, kidnap their women. And in Bangladesh, it is a separate set of values that drive the people like Jamaat al-Islami and other radical elements within that country. Now, what is happening there? For example, Pakistan, more than 1,000 young girls last year were converted. In Pakistan, Hindu girls, Sikh girls were converted, girls as young as 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. You see, girls in their preteens, they were kidnapped, many of them were raped, and then they were married off after being converted to Islam. They were married off to men who were 35, 40, 50, 60 years.
Wow.
This is an industry in Pakistan. This also happens in Bangladesh. You see, now, what is a person supposed to do? Even the head Granthi of a place as revered as Kartarpur Sahib. Now, Kartarpur Sahib is deeply respected by everybody, Hindus and Sikhs alike. The main Granthi, the head priest, let us say, the head Granthi or the head priest of Kartarpur Sahib, his own daughter was kidnapped. And when she was being married off to some XYZ person, right, elder to her, you could see Kalishnikov toting gunmen all around her, and she was forced to recite the kalma. This has happened so many times with sickening regularity. Not a day passes by in Pakistan when these women are, or these young girls are not kidnapped, raped, and converted. It's a factory in Pakistan. To a large extent, this is also happening in Bangladesh. Not as blatant as in Pakistan. Pakistan is a lost case. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I will be surprised if I can find any Hindus or Sikhs in Afghanistan now. It is Taliban that is ruling the roost, and I don't think any minorities are still alive in Afghanistan. So this is to tell those people that don't worry, India is here, and we will give you citizenship. Now, right now what they're saying is that we will give citizenship, as I said, 31st of December 2014. But I'm very sure that the government is going to extend it because it's important to address the needs of those who are suffering today, not just pre-2014, but also right now. That is one part. Secondly, a lot of people have come up and said that this is anti-Muslim. Now, a lot of people in the social media, mainstream media, and even our political leaders. And I'm going to read out the comments by a few political leaders and then tell you what they are saying. And then I will try and factually counter them. For example, the Congress says that this bill is designed to polarize, or this act, I beg your pardon, is designed to polarize. How? Nobody knows. How can it polarize? If you benefit Hindus and Sikhs and Christians, or Parsis or Buddhists or Jains in any manner, it will polarize the society. But if Rohingya Muslims come in their thousands every single day from across Bangladesh, right? They come into India and they are greeted with Aadhaar cards and PAN cards and passports and election cards. That is all right. That is absolutely okay. So it is okay for a Rohingya Muslim to break the law, right? He's a victim of his circumstances and India should somehow support him. But the people who are being raped and forcibly converted, India should not help them because they happen to be Hindu, Sikhs and Christians and Parsis and Buddhists and Jains. This is the kind of double standard that is going on here. Will oppose CAA if it discriminates people, says West Bengal CM Mamta. So Mamta Banerjee says will oppose CAA. It does not matter. I would like to tell Ms. Mamta Banerjee, you're opposing or supporting, even if, let us say, you support the CAA. For example, Mamta Banerjee says that she supports the CAA. It does not matter. Your support or opposition does not count for anything because this is something that is done by the parliament. It has nothing to do with any state government. I'm not talking about West Bengal here. I'm talking about any state government in India. It has nothing to do with any state government. Then CAA is an open challenge to humanity. Kerala will not implement it. This is Chief Minister Pinari Vijayan. I think the Honorable Chief Minister Pinari Vijayan has been misguided and misinformed. Kerala has no role to play. No state, forget about Kerala. Uttar Pradesh has no role to play. Right? Punjab has no role to play. Rajasthan, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh. No state has any role to play. Citizenship is not a state issue. It's a central issue. I mean, go and read the constitution. I mean, you have no role to play. Kerala will not implement it. Come on. Tomorrow somebody will say Rajasthan will not implement, or UP will not implement, or MP will not implement, or Manipur will not implement. It does not matter. This is a central subject. You have nothing to do with it. Nothing, absolutely. Based on Godse's thought, this is the best that Asaduddin Owaisi could come up with. And he's, as usual, very angry. I don't know why Owaisi Sahab always gets angry. He's angry at everything in life. Everything in life. Except for winning elections, he does everything very well. Based on Godse's thought. What is Godse's thought in this? Which means that Asaduddin Owaisi, that is why I say, and people object when I say this, but all of them, these guys sound like radical Islamists. Including Owaisi, including that guy in Rampur, Khan, I forget his name. All these guys sound like radical Islamists. Now, Owaisi says, for example, Owaisi says, based on Godse's thought. How is this related to Godse? Godse was the guy who assassinated Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, this is so weird, but they'll say anything to polarize the community. They'll say anything to, win votes. The elections are looming, and they are saying that the BJP or the central government has done it because the elections are around the corner. So what? So what? Yes, it has done it. Elections are around the corner. Good. Should have been done 50 years back. It wasn't. This should have been done 50 years back. This should have been done even before the creation of Bangladesh. And I would like to add something before I go on further. You see, friends, the thing is that forget about CAA. Okay? The rule should be simple. Any Hindu and Sikh, right, or Buddhist, or Jain, or Parsi, even Indian origin Christians, they should naturally be eligible for citizenship in India. Naturally. Every Hindu across the world, every Sikh across the world, if he wants to be a citizen of India, all he has to do is apply, that's all. That's it. That should be the rule. Where will the Hindus go? Where will the Sikhs go? Where will the Parsis and the Jains and the Buddhists go? Where will they go? And all Indian origin Christians, I'm saying Christians separately because, Europe and America is full of Christians, mostly it's Christian majority nations, all of them. But look at Indian Christians or subcontinent Christians. They are discriminated against very badly in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, very badly. Who can forget Jallianwala? So where will they go? If they don't go to India, where will they go? So, AIADMK Secretary Edapadi K. Palaniswamy has criticized CAA, calling it a historic blunder. I'm sure none of these ladies and gentlemen have read the CAA draft or they've read that, act. They haven't. Or if they've read it, then it's a bigger blunder because after reading it, they should welcome it with open arms. And Al Jazeera says, now here is the media, Al Jazeera says, India implements anti-Muslim 2019 citizenship law weeks before election. So apparently, Al Jazeera says this law is anti-Muslim. I don't know why. Al Jazeera is the mouthpiece of the Muslim Brotherhood actually. And I don't know why they're calling it anti-Muslim. It has nothing to do with Muslims at all. The BBC, all these are usual suspects. India to enforce migrant law that excludes Muslims. Now, one argument is, why aren't Muslims from Pakistan included in this act? Muslims in Pakistan mean 23 crore people. And the subcontinent's Muslims made a choice and they were given a country called Pakistan. Whoever stayed here, stayed here. Whoever went there, went there. Now, the people who have chosen Pakistan as their homeland, why do they want to come to India? I have not understood. I have not understood. Why do Bangladeshis want to come to India? I have not understood. Why would Afghans want to come to India? I have not understood. We don't want to go there. I have no desire in my life to go to Pakistan.
Okay, I will pause just here. The thing is that I know someone married to a Pakistani man, and they were actually with a partition. They were originally in India whenever that happened. And then from what I understood from them, it wasn't so black and white. And they felt like they were forced to move there, even though they didn't want that. They faced a lot of challenges with that as well. So I feel like that might, no, obviously that's one case, but if there's one, I'm sure there are many others. So I wouldn't call it so black and white here.
Jamia Millia Islamia protests have erupted. I don't know why. Jamia Millia Islamia protests are, JNU and Jamia protests are always erupting. They don't want to study, they only want to protest. Keep on protesting, who cares? Activists of the...
Is it like a French colony? Just joking.
All Assam Students' Union staged a protest in Guwahati. What has this got to do with Assam? I don't know. I have read what the act entails, and I haven't understood. All these protests, they're as stupid as the farmer protests, yeah, against those three laws. Nobody read them. Everybody just came on the streets and started blocking the roads. This is silly. This is absolutely silly. Now, I will tell you, and before that, let me tell you some of the reactions which have come in support. Danish Kaneria, who's a Hindu cricketer based out of Pakistan, says Pakistanis Hindus will now be able to breathe in open air. Hindu American groups praise CAA, say implementation long overdue and necessary. And President of All India Muslim Jamaat, Maulana Shahabuddin Razvi Barelvi, says that I support the Citizenship Amendment Act, that is the CAA. Now, you see, people are protesting against the CAA not because of what it says. They fear, actually, what they fear is the NRC, the National Register of Citizens. This is something that, the NRC will hit directly at the vote banks of some regional parties. You know what these regional parties are, or which kind of vote banks that they cater to, but it's going to hit them hard. And what does the NRC say? No, there is no draft floating around for NRC, but essentially what NRC said when Assam, implemented parts of it and threw back Rohingya Muslims from Assam because they were illegal immigrants. I mean, first of all, before getting into NRC, I would also like to, because there is no draft, let me put on record, there is no draft that exists for NRC which people have read, so people are just getting jittery about it. But if NRC means National Register of Citizens, what do you think Pakistan did recently? Pakistan threw out 1.7 million Afghans. That was NRC. When Rishi Sunak says that I'm going to pay 250 million pounds to the government of Rwanda to take back illegal immigrants from the UK, and pushing out illegal immigrants from UK back to Rwanda, that is NRC. When Trump says he's going to build the wall and he's saying whoever are the illegal immigrants in America, he's going to send them back to Mexico, that is NRC. The world is doing NRC. The world. But when India does it, it's wrong. Let me give you an example, right? So Hamas attacks Israel. And this is an example. You'll know the double standards of the world. Hamas attacks Israel. Israel hits back, right? I'm talking about 7th of October. Now, apparently 25,000-30,000 people have died and the world is protesting. India is also saying, stop the war, stop the war. India is also saying it. Everybody's saying it. The world is saying it, stop the war. And everybody is condemning Israel. In the past 9 years or 10 years, Saudi Arabia has bombed Yemen and killed more than 300,000 Yemenis, many of them children. Many of you haven't even heard of this. You haven't heard of this. So when Muslims kill Muslims, it's absolutely all. I mean, nobody objects. But when somebody else does it, there is a problem, irrespective of the justification of that act or the lack thereof. I'm not saying that it's justified or not just. As far as I'm concerned, Israel is justified in its actions. I support Israel in what it's doing. And they have my blanket support, without any if, without any but. But even if you say that Israel is wrong, let us say you say Israel is absolutely wrong. Let us assume, and I respect your views. You are entitled to condemn Israel. Shouldn't you also be condemning the country that killed 300,000 Yemenis? Should you or should you not? But you will not do it. You will not do it. Therein lies the problem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm comparing it to the CAA. So what happens is that if a Hindu comes in through the correct route, with correct paperwork, with the permission of the government, to become a citizen of India, that is wrong. So if you support CAA, which is essentially Hindus and Sikhs and Christians and Parsis and Jains and Buddhists coming into India the right way, the legal way, that is wrong. If you support that, you are communal. But Rohingya Muslims come into India every day in their thousands. And if you oppose that, you are communal. That is what this whole game is about, ladies and gentlemen. Heights of hypocrisy. I've come to the end of my video today, and now
Okay, so I do believe this was the end to his video. It was an interesting perspective. I must say I do like the guy. He seems very intelligent. So I'm just drawing some notes as I was listening to it. I don't even know where to start. So I guess I start with that. Obviously, whenever we are evaluating something, assessing something, we need to go to the source. So unless you actually read it and you are able to correctly interpret it within the context and what it actually means and does, it's very hard to comment on. So obviously I wouldn't have that knowledge, but for the purposes of this video, let's just assume that this is about, this is about the minorities as he had said. Now, what I have been observing, and this is why I don't like politics, is that I feel like it's when you are, let's say, in politics and you get briefed on the issues, but not only if you are just a politician, you just get a brief from someone, because let's say you running a ministry and it has multiple issues there, and you obviously, as let's say a head, cannot know everything ins and outs, and you have to have people that you rely on, and then you rely on the fact that you're going to get the right information, and you will perhaps not go in depth and read something, right? And this is, I feel like, how sometimes narratives are created, because people are just being told from their teams what to say and what to do. And but it's actually not only that, like the other standards, like from the people that I'm observing in my end of the world, that are educated, are very nice, very kind. They, they want everything, they want to eradicate poverty, they want everyone to be equal, etc. But I feel like a lot of these people that I personally know, they actually also do not go in depth and really trying to understand issues. I feel like there are many arguments, especially in the current date, just made from a higher moral ground, and everyone thinks that their moral ground is the right moral ground. So it just only adds the complexity to the argument. Now, the NRC, what he was mentioning, yeah, I mean, I didn't know Rishi Sunak is willing to pay to get out the illegal immigrants. Illegal immigration is a big, I think, topic, or at least in the Western world. But then it's kind of like, well, you shouldn't have gone around the world, exploited every other countries, made them poor, made their conditions bad, and now you kind of can't take it. Like the US is a prime example. Like I just never understood it, like thinking you go to so many countries, you destroy them, and then you dare to put up, like, you have to fulfill these requirements to get there. Maybe this is why, the liberal government these days is just like literally what I heard, flying people from Latin America to the US without any documentation, without anything. But certainly I feel like if you go and invade other country and you cause malnutrition, you cause violence, you cause severe issues to the country and people that are living there, then you should take the repercussions, and you should offer these people, legal citizenship. Like, sorry, dude, like, we went there, bomb you. We kind of care that you now don't have place to stay, where to eat. Let us bring you to the, no better land in the world than the US. No pun intended, and no offense taken to the US, but I feel like we can all agree on this one. So it's, but obviously every country is trying to protect themselves from illegal immigration, because usually what we see, even when people illegally come to Slovakia, and we've had the instances of that, they come without any documentation, and they are usually men, and they're, I guess, usually also Muslim men. So I think we had a case of, I don't know how many, 100 or 200 or more men just showing up with like a literally piece of paper saying they all were different sizes and ages, by the way, like from teenagers to like a grown man. They were born on the same day in the same year in the same city. You can't even make this up. So the truth of the West is that it does require migration, because, and immigration, but legal for that matter, because not enough people are being born. It's kind of like a declining society in a way. So in order for, let's say, Europe to survive, we have to have migrants. But as Mr. Major was talking, it should be done illegally. So if, for the purposes of the argument, we take the fact of what he's saying, like this is supposed to just speak to minorities and support those minorities, then I personally, I haven't read that, it makes sense. Now, obviously, the righteous West is going to say things, because there are many righteous people, and they would think that, why are you excluding certain group of people, which, based off of their belief system, should be included. But I would like to think, and maybe I'm totally wrong, I'm just saying that because of what I'm observing, is that those people will never go into details to try to understand, let's say, what that meant and how it's done. And that kind of is where you get all these smear campaigns, what he was showing, basically, and people not educating themselves. So, yeah, and when I just made a note, I'm looking at my notes, and yeah, people will say anything for the elections. It's thing that is on all of us when it comes to these types of information to discern, right? Like, if you really want to understand, like, as an Indian, what that actually means, and you're able to read that, and you're able to interpret it within the context, you should, by all means, if you do want to have an educated perspective. Otherwise, just watching a video will not cut it, right? Like, you are then just like everyone else, relying on other people's information and interpretation. Now, that's tough maybe to hear, but that's actually the truth, right? Like, for me, I'm interested in India, so I'm doing that for my awareness. Do I have time or energy to actually go and read Citizenship Act with everything that's going on in my life? No, I don't, right? But for me, it's enough, because that's kind of where I stand in India. So I just pick up a couple of information, because that's just something that's currently being discussed in the country, and it's interesting, right? But like, if you really want to have an educated opinion, you need to go to details. And one of the things that every time, I think I've said it in many videos before, just the sheer difference between what's happening there versus what's perhaps happening over here, it's crazy. So I've known someone who is from Pakistan, and they left and they fled, basically, because I was being explained that people there live in a feudal society, and feudal society for me is Middle Ages. That's what I understand Middle Ages. And basically they're not safe when they would ever go to the country, and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting story. And this just makes me think, like, if, let's say, Pakistan is, that person was from Karachi, is feudal, that is Middle Ages to me, and that people, in my opinion, and that's just my deduction, would have a very Middle Age level view of the world, right? And if you compare that with Europe, it's like completely living on a completely different planet. So the thing is, like, the issues that you guys have over there and what you're discussing, it feels so almost alien to me. It feels like it's a completely different, different planet. The types of issues that you're dealing with would have been dealt with centuries and centuries ago here. So yeah, it always shocks me, and this is the conclusion I so far have come to, that it must be just majorly different. Obviously, if I go to India, I will be able to see it with my own eyes. Although, like, I don't think that, let's say, 2-week or 3-week trip can fully gauge an insight into culture, but at least some glimpse into it. But I think this is where it, between Western and kind of the Eastern cultures, there are significant clashes, because no one is understanding the playing field and everyone is arguing their own case. And I think that what we need to really look into is to just start understanding that there are different cultures and the way they do things is different. And until, let's say, in the West, people try to come and understand, but really understand what it's like and how it works, you'll always have these clashes, right? And I think it's just about being open-minded, in a sense, I'm trying not to judge, but obviously we're all wired to judge, right? The reason why we judge is because we need to survive, right? Like, if I don't judge that there is a way for me to cross the road, and I just decide to cross the road when a car is at like 200 miles, I will get killed, right? So it's not, it's everything needs to be evaluated and looked at, for me, in context. And culture, they describe, I think I talked about it in the culture map, as like, when you're part of the culture, it's like being fish in the water. You don't see it, right? So this is why we really, if you really want to understanding, and the more and more I look into the cultural things, I see how different we all are, because the culture shapes a lot of who we are and our beliefs, and the way we judge the world around us. And therefore, when I'm doing this channel, trying to understand it, I'm just somehow trying to grasp where the mindset is coming from and how that works. And I feel that in the West, obviously you would have the political smear, but and I think that why West would have failed in other developing countries, which I think I might have told you about. In Africa, I know that they really hate the white people going there and telling them what to do, because everything always fails. Because people feel, and in different countries to a different level, I think that the US perhaps the most, and the UK a lot as well, they feel a lot superior to everyone else. So their solution therefore must work in places, let's say, like India or Africa, and they don't. And the thing is, because they truly fail to see that it's a different culture with different values, it may be alien to them, but if you are not meeting person from the place where they are, so it's like, trying to teach a 5-year-old a university level maths, right? It won't work. It will never work. You might make them memorize it, but will never understand it. Therefore, this is why I'm trying to say you need to meet people where they are and understand from their level of understanding to move somewhere. So, gosh, I feel like I've been blobbing for a really long time, and looking at my notes. Yeah, I think I have covered pretty much everything. So I guess this will be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please give a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next one. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending much love. Bye-bye.